We're going to discuss equipment and tools that can be used for vegetable production. So equipment and tools, the type you have and whether or not they match your needs is actually really important. Vegetable production is labor intensive and often relies on quite a bit of hand labor. If you're large scale, there can be some automation, but here in Kentucky, most of our growers are on the smaller scale and require much of the work to be hand labor or small tools. So the right tools are really important for the success and viability of a farm. Equipment and tools are necessary for every aspect of vegetable production, from seeding to harvest and even post-harvest. So the factors to consider before buying tools and equipment and deciding what you need is location, the growing conditions, the types of crops you're going to grow, production practices, your market, and the volume of the business that you're operating or the size of your farm. So determining the right tools for the job can be sometimes be some trial and error, but there are a few characteristics that these tools should all have. They should allow for efficient work. So that means they're ergonomic, they minimize fatigue, right? They don't make your wrists hurt, or they don't require you to do something that is uncomfortable for an extended period amount of time. They should be safe to operate, fairly light and easy to transport. That of course has some exceptions with tractors or a BCS, walk behind tiller, which we'll talk about later. Those can be fairly heavy. Sometimes there's no getting around that. They should be ready for fairly immediate use, so minimal adjustments can be made, but not major adjustments every time that would cost time and money. Made of readily available materials, and hopefully if it's a larger piece of equipment, they're easy to fix if something breaks. You can find a replacement part, that kind of thing. And durable, so hopefully things would last. You buy high quality items, you spend money for something that is high quality, and it will last you for years to come. There are a variety of options across different scales that growers can use to manage high tunnels. Many operations will blend high tunnels with small equipment like a walk-behind tractor. You can purchase different implements that attach to these tractors, such as flail mowers, rotary plows, rototillers, chisel plows, quite a bit more. But there may be hand tools may be the best option in many cases. Hand tools that are commonly used would include, of course, different types of hose with different angles on them, shovels, rakes, a fence post pounder. Those type of things would be considered hand tools. There's also things that are slightly a step up from that. So a broad fork, tilther, which is a battery-powered tiller, small tiller that's operated by a cordless drill. Weed management is a really important component to vegetable production. Of course, there are the hand tools, as I mentioned earlier, the different types of hose, right? But then there's also something that's a step up, and that would be the flame weeders that use a propane tank to kill small weeds. So the weeds can't be really big in order for this to be effective. They should be rather small. But there are various types of propane weeders that can be extremely effective and time saving from a weed management perspective. And you'll see how this is used a bit later on. So here are some examples of some small equipment that, you know, are obviously a step up from hand tools or several steps up from hand tools, but that can still be fairly easily used in a high tunnel, even a relatively small high tunnel. So there's various models of BCS, walk behind tractors. So you have them with a rotary plow, a flail mower, and a rototiller. This is the BCS 853. There's also a BCS 730 with a rototiller and a chisel plow. And you can see here the BCS, there are different ways that a BCS can be started, but here, pull starting the BCS kind of like a lawnmower, right? And then here's a close-up shot of a rotary plow, and here is the chisel plow. And here is a shot of the BCS being started and being used. So you can see it's, you know, they're heavy, and it does require a certain level of skill, but they can be extremely useful in managing a high tunnel and preparing a high tunnel soil for planting, and also managing weeds. So the next series of shots will be basically preparing a high tunnel for planting. So you can see we're working on the layout of the tunnel. There's going to be 3 rows in this tunnel. This is a 15 by 44 foot tunnel. So we're working on the layout. And then here is, we've measured out how much fertilizer needs to be applied to these 3 rows. And then we're going to use this drill, the tilther that is operated by the cordless drill, to incorporate that fertilizer just lightly. So not incorporating it extremely deep into the soil, but a few inches of incorporation. And then we're going to work on laying out the beds and calculating how many plants, so 18-inch plant spacing, right? So you need to know the distance of your plants, and measuring. And then you can go through and cut the holes with a box cutter or a pocket knife just to mark them a little better. And then you can follow with burning holes in this weed mat. So this is an example of the propane torch. This is a handheld propane torch. This does a really nice job of making pretty nice, good circles. It also melts the plastic around the edges so that the weed mat does not unravel. Those edges do become a little sharp, so when you're transplanting, you just need to be aware. It's probably best to just wear gloves so you don't scrape your hands on those edges. And then here you can see we're laying drip tape, stretching that out in the 3 beds, and putting the fabric down. So for 1 row of tomato plants, we're just going to put 1 roll of drip tape, 1 line of drip tape down, and then over top we will put the weed mat down, and then follow with staples. And usually we put staples about every 5 to 6 feet to secure the weed mat.